Shalom everyone, and today we're going to study two parashot, Matot and Mas'ei. We're basically finishing this week the book of Numbers. Parashat Matot can be found on the book of Numbers, chapter 30, verse 2. And from here on, it's like we're completing the book of Numbers. Next week, we're starting Deuteronomy, which is the last Chumash, the last book, the 5 books of Moses. And just to remind everyone, the book of Deuteronomy, it's the words of Moses. It's not the word of God directly, but it's the speech Moses gave just before he left this world. So if we go to the end of this reading, this weekly reading, let me just find it, the end of Parashat Mas'ei, which is the end of the book of Numbers. It is officially the end of the main book part of the Torah. And it's you can find it in the book of Numbers, chapter 36, verse 13. אלה המצוות והמשפטים אשר ציווה אדוני ביד משה אל בני ישראל בערבות מואב על ירדן יריחו. These are the mitzvot, the precepts, והמשפטים, the laws that God gave in the hand of Moses to the children of Israel in the prairies of Moab on the River Jordan in front of Jericho. Okay, so why are we finishing the Torah right now? And there's an amazing explanation that many Kabbalists are holding. We just read in Parashat yesterday, in Parashat Pinchas, about all the holidays. Why reading about all the holidays just right now? So if you do, first of all, if you do a calculation, you find that we are always completing the book of Numbers before the 9th of Av. And that means during the 3 weeks of judgments that we are part of, the Yemei Bein HaMetzarim. And those 3 weeks, we are talking about 21 days. And 21 days are also the number of holidays in the Jewish calendar. If you calculate the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, that's 2. Then you have Yom Kippur is 1. 8 days of Sukkot and Simchat Torah. What else do we have? We have we have also Passover is 7 days. Shavuot is 1 day. And you complete with 1 day for Purim, 1 day for Hanukkah, because they're not biblical days. So 1 day is enough. You get 21. So 21 days of the holidays. That is what's the connection it has to the 3 weeks that we are right now. That these 3 weeks, as it is said, there are 3 weeks of judgments. However, it is said in the prophecies that those days of judgments at the times of the Mashiach, they will turn into holidays where the biggest holiday will be the 9th day of Av, which is the last day of the 21. So the hint is that we are in the midst of very, very powerful days. And also these 3 weeks are, let me just read it, the Opti Rebbe, Ohev Israel, the rabbi of Opt, a great Hasidic teacher and a great Kabbalist by himself. And he also said that we after the 9th day of Av, we count 7 weeks of consolation. 7 weeks till Rosh Hashanah, till the beginning of the new year. But whoever knows some basics in Kabbalah knows that when you have 7, 7 is apart from the 10 Sefirot. So you look for the 3. And here we are. We are in the 3 weeks, and then we have 7. 3 plus 7, 10. So these 3 weeks of judgments, they're basically connected to the, how do we call it? the upper three, Keter, Chokhmah, and Binah, Chokhmah, Binah, Dat, and they are more powerful than the 7, which means these 3 weeks we are experiencing right now, 3 weeks of judgments that we have to be really careful during these 3 weeks. It's not that some people make a mistake. They think we should be mourning. We should be sad during these 3 weeks. No, it's not. There's a difference between mourning and being sad. When a person is in mourning, he is very careful because he knows he is not at his or her best, which means somebody is sitting Shiva, somebody lost a family member, and he's sitting Shiva. And why is he mourning? It's like, going through an operation, and the operation debilitates your abilities. You're not at your best. Therefore, till you recuperate, you have to somehow to bring down the intensity in your life. And sitting at home on the floor and not doing anything, not serving the guests and not doing laundry and not cooking, it's all about reminding you that you have to bring down the intensity and let that heal. Like somebody went through an operation, and after the operation, you can't just go to work. You have to give it some time for healing, some acts of recuperation, like it's rehab. It's time for rehabilitation, not to go back into life with full blast, with full capacity. So we have to understand that it's not about being sad. It's not about being sad. It's about being careful. Tone down the activity. This is what's important about it. Okay, so here it is. And what about, so you can't take care of yourself? That's why, you have to be part of community. Part of the community that people are in mourning, you are taking care of them. And that's if you just, if you live alone and you die alone, who will bury you? Who will take care of your relatives? Yeah, it's like we're not, the whole thing of the new world that people are living by themselves without real true family and friends. This is not natural to the human nature. And that's it's one of the biggest source of diseases is loneliness. So what do we have? What's a great message of Parashot Matot-Masei? Most of the times they're being read together. So what's special about them? Especially when, as we said, they complete the main body of the Torah. As we said, the book of Deuteronomy is an addition, and that's why it is called in Hebrew Mishneh Torah, addition or secondary to the Torah. And what does it mean that we are living through very, very, very super intensified days, and we have to be really careful when we go through these 3 weeks till the 9th of Av. So let us see from the reading itself. So first of all, the first parasha of the 2 is Parashat Matot, and Matot means the staffs. The book of Numbers, chapter 30, verse 2, Vaydaber Moshe Rashi Matot. And Moses spoke to the heads of the staffs. Who are the heads of the staffs? The head of the tribes. So what is a staff? The staff is the symbol of rulership, of power. Okay? Lemo. So, but usually what the commentators are saying, Rashi is saying, all the other mitzvot, how they were given, Moses will teach the heads of the staffs, and they will bring it down in their own tribes. Why do we have to mention it over here and not in other places? And that's what Rashi is asking. Mara alom rakan. Why is he saying it here? And I won't go into what Rashi is saying. He said that, we're talking about vows. And in order to annul vows, you need somebody who's holding a staff, an expert. And that's a hint. And Rashi is revealing a little bit and is covering most of it. The staff is a symbol of power. The staff in Hebrew, mateh, is coming from the word lehatot. Lehatot means to divert, to direct, to change direction, which means, what does it mean you have power? If you have power and you're not using it, did you ever have power? Using it for what? To direct things towards something that is constructive, something that is, to make a difference. If you did not make a difference, so what does it mean you had the staff? You did nothing with it. Staff is a symbol of power, and the power is exercising power means the ability to have control and to divert. Divert what? Okay, so in order to understand that, we have to go a little bit backwards. And we read in Parashat Pinchas yesterday in the Torah reading about Yom Kippur. And the Zohar about Yom Kippur is saying something amazing. He's using the word staff for, for explaining the power of, as Rashi is saying, vows. When is that we mention vows? Yom Kippur. Kol Nidrei, the most famous prayer of Yom Kippur, and it's not really a prayer, it's kind of an opening ceremony for Yom Kippur. It's not considered to be one of the 5 main prayers of Yom Kippur, but it's the most famous ceremony in Yom Kippur. Kol Nidrei, it's all about nullifying the vows. Why do I need to nullify vows? So a lot of people, they have the thing, if I annul all the vows that I made, that I could not follow up, that will open for me a clean, better path for a coming new year. So what did I say before? That the Ohev Israel is saying these 3 weeks, they are kind of starting the race for completing the year. And completing the year, we are just right now before the final. We just made the marathon since last year's New Year. And now we are just close. We are right now, and we have the time just to give our best. So when we reach the finals, which means Rosh Hashanah, we can look backwards and say, that year that just passed, wow, I really made a difference. And how do you make a difference? So the Zohar is saying, during the year, people are like, it's like a pendulum, referring it to Moses facing the burning bush. And God is saying, what is that you have in your hand? And Moses says, it's a staff. A staff, mateh. And God says, throw it to the ground. And Moses throws the staff, and the staff becomes a snake. So Moses immediately is doing the natural thing. He turns his back to the snake and he's going to run away. And God says, no, no, no. Do not run away. Go after the snake, hold him with its tail. So Moses is obeying God, holding the snake with his tail, and the snake becomes a staff again. And as Zohar is saying, most people are basically slaves. Slaves, what does it mean? That they are enslaved to the snake. Who's the snake? Remember Genesis? Adam and Eve? That guy that talked Eve into eating from the tree of life, the tree of knowledge. And we all paying the price still today, every day, every hour, every minute. How come? The fact that our lives is a mixture of a staff and a snake. Sometimes we are running away from the snake. Who's a snake? Evil, any kinds of evil, pain, whatever takes control over our lives and depletes our life force. That is the force of the snake. Rarely, people, instead of running away from the snake, running away from their fears, phobias, pains, any kinds of traumas, they face it and hold it by its tail, and it's turning into a staff, which means when is it that the human being can really hold on to power? When that human being is not allowing all kinds of noise, emotions of a very low frequency to take over his life. Only then, when you're holding on to the staff, when it says when you are in control, what does it mean in control? That you are not running away from your own snake. You are realizing that this snake is there in front of you so you can hold on to its tail and turn it into a staff. Because when you do that, only people can face their biggest fears, the biggest phobias, the biggest pain, and turn it into a force of control. Only then you divert your life towards something meaningful, powerful, constructive, and basically, it's the only time you're basically doing your tikkun. What does it mean, your tikkun? You transform the judgments into a correction. You are not allowing the judgment to control you. You're not running away from them, from your fears and your pain. You're simply using that to move forwards and upwards in your journey. This is the basic idea the Zohar says about Yom Kippurim. On Yom Kippurim, we have a break from that race of trying to find a snake and turning it into a staff, because in Yom Kippurim, we are getting the power of freedom for that day. So we have a race on Yom Kippur. How high can we get through the prayers of Yom Kippur, through the meditations, through the inner transformation, as much as the power of freedom we can connect to on Yom Kippur, that will determine how free we will be during the coming year. So if I'm looking backwards and I realized that most of the year, most of the days, I was basically manipulated by my own fears and phobias, my own pains and discomforts. And instead of holding the staff, I was running away, hiding, or simply complaining, which is also hiding. Well, why complaining is hiding? When you complain, it means you're not taking responsibility. You're not realizing it's only you and nobody but you that is going to make the difference. And you're going to have to face it, hold on to it, and turn it into a staff, which means every weakness, every fear, every pain, every broken piece in us is there for one purpose. So we can turn it around, what is called in another language in Kabbalistic terms, to sweeten the judgment. What does it mean to sweeten the judgment? The judgment means not being at ease. So there is a delay. Things are not comfortable. Things are very painful. Things are, it's not right. It's like there's a blockage, a delay. The light does not flow freely. What's our job? To fix it. We're here to correct. We're not here to have it easy. We're not here to have it nice. It doesn't mean when it's nice and easy, you should have guilt about it. maybe you corrected it, because there are a lot of things that we once, twice, three times, we face properly. It's not bothering us anymore because we corrected it. It's like you build the floor and you don't just sit there and rest on your laurels. You build a second floor and a third and a fourth. That's what being a human being is about. That's why the Talmud is saying angels that are called omdim. They're standing. An angel never transforms. An angel does not have to transform. An angel is a messenger. He does his job. That's it. There's nothing else. A human being is called a walker, holchim. You always have to walk. If you don't walk, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're wasting your time. And life is like riding bicycles. If it's tough, it means you're going up the hill. If it's easy, too easy, you're going down the hill. So let's go back to our mission. So what's the connection between the staff and the vows? So the Zohar says, what is Kol Nidrei? Kol Nidrei is about nullifying those vows, those judgments that hang over us, so we can divert them, transform them, sweeten them, and turn the weakness into power. History is full of people, of great, great stories that they were not born, let's say, complete and happy. They had to fight. They had to fight to get a place in society. They had to fight to get a position, to become somebody. Those fighters turned the weakness into a strength, turned the judgment into a staff. This is basically what a human life is about. We are not here to have it nice and easy. And as the Zohar says in Parashat Truma, for free, you can get only troubles. So the first part of Parashat Matot is about the vows, which means it's about annulling the vows. And if you really understood the story of Yom Kippur, what I just explained from the Zohar, Parashat Pinchas, last week's Parashah, the Zohar was giving introduction that annulling the vows, okay, yes, there is an issue. Somebody made a vow, and you have to annul the vow because you realize you can't follow it up. That's okay. But there's a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning is that here we are facing the judgments of these 3 weeks. We are facing all the judgments of the whole year. Each one, we did the judgments of his own soul. Why his own soul? There are judgments. Yeah, but we are part of a community, of a nation, of humanity. We all have to face the judgment. But first of all, you have to face your own individual ones before you just being able to see everybody else's judgment. And first of all, it starts from your own personal judgments. And just being sad, it's not fighting your judgments. It's about locating, finding, being aware of those judgments. The simple stuff. It's like we're humans, and therefore we have the tendency to criticize. And why do we criticize people? When they don't behave themselves, whatever, but basically, why is it that you take a few different people and you put in front of them somebody who's clearly not a nice person, and you check the reaction of all of these people that you put together with that, let's say, not so nice person, and you realize each person will react differently. Why? It's the same person. And the answer is, people are put in front of us as basically them being sent, the messengers, to awaken within us the judgments that we have to correct. Which means, what's the use of being upset all the time because nobody is good enough. Okay? What good are you doing to yourself? You don't have time to live. I said it many times. You're busy criticizing, you're busy finding what's wrong with others. When are you going to live? When are you going to really have a life? Go get a life, they say. Okay, when you're really going to go and get a life? What does it mean go and get a life? You see that if something is upset inside you, there's a judgment within you, it's yours. Yeah, but that person awakened it in me. Awakened, right? He didn't put it into you. He simply awakened something that was there in you from the beginning. It's not about him, it's about you. And that means that it is something you have to take responsibility for. But he's not okay. Everybody says so. Yeah, he's not okay. Why do you have to suffer because of that? Why do you have to immerse yourself in this horrible soup of judgments and negativity and complaints? When you're negative and you're complaining and you're just finding others wrong, you're not doing anything good for yourself. Nothing. And by the way, today it's scientific. Those people are pessimists, and they always find what's wrong with any situation. They don't live that long. They don't make as much money. They're not good in anything as they could be if they were not so negative and judgmental. So you know what they say? When you're upset about somebody and you're angry about them, it's like you're drinking a cup of poison and you're expecting somebody else to die. So face it, your judgments are yours. Whatever judgments we experience, we have to own them. The story of Moses. Don't run away from them by blaming somebody else. Don't run away from them by hating somebody else or being angry about somebody else or even be feeling a victim. You know, what does it mean that this is the biggest trend today? Feeling like a victim. What does it mean? Running away. You're not taking responsibility. Taking responsibility means that you're not a slave to the snake. And therefore, the first line on the tablets on Mount Sinai said, I am the Lord your God that took you out of Egypt from the land, from the house of slavery. Where's the mitzvah over here? Oh, that's the biggest one. The Torah cannot be given to slaves. Why? Only free human beings can follow the Torah. The moment you do not agree that you're not a slave anymore, the moment you do not agree that you have to take full responsibility for what you feel, how you act, what you say, what you do, the moment you're not accepting that, God is saying, I have nothing to tell you. First, you have to get rid of this slave mentality. Then we can talk. But that's the first thing, which means if you don't accept the first proclamation on the two tablets, it doesn't say commandment. Nowhere in the Hebrew text, and no Hebrew text says it's a commandment. It's only a lie in the English translation. These are utterances. Dibrot means sayings, utterances, proclamations of God. What does it mean? I'm a God only to the ones who take responsibility and they realize they are slaves of no one. Now we can talk. So thou should have no other gods. You know, when I blame somebody else and I feel that I'm their victim, it means that I'm not in power. I handed the power to those people that I blame them for my misery. Slaves are exempt from all the mitzvot. You can't be part of us. God says, the Torah is about freedom. When Moses comes with the tablets, it says, and the letters, the writings, where it looks like engraved on the tablets, but the word is charut, chet resh vav taf, and the sages are saying, this is Chet Reish Vav Taf is freedom on tablets, freedom from death, which means when we are afraid of discomfort, from pain and misery, and therefore we're running away from it, it doesn't mean it's over. The more you run away from it, the more you die because you have left space to live. So blamers, complainers, pessimists, they live less. And you know what? Even the years they are on earth, they are dying. They experience death 24/7, even when they're trying to run away from it. So Parashat Matot is about holding on to the staff. Holding on to the staff, that means that you have to take full responsibility for what you feel. And if you feel judgment, you feel terrible thoughts, feelings, emotions, do not try to blame. Take full responsibility for those emotions. And what does it mean to take responsibility? Don't feel guilt. Oh, I'm the one who feels so horrible, so I must be such a bad person. No, you are here to experience what is horrible and turn it into something great. And you know what they say, that the necessity is the mother of all invention? We know that difficulties, lack, pain, they're the best initiators of creativity, innovation, growth. Use it. Do not abuse it. Use it. How do you use it? We know very simple. I said it many, many times. When a woman is in labor, when she has a contraction, it's not the time to complain about the pain. It's not the time to mourn or to have, it's time to push. The babies never are born between the contractions. A baby is born in the midst of the contraction. Use the pain to push the baby out, and the fruit of your pain will be the most sweetest thing in the world that you ever had. A baby, a new life that you gave to the world. The same, that's why also when the sages are talking about the days, the Messianic era, the era before the coming of the Messiah, it says, these are Chevlei Mashiach. It will be like contractions. Do not read the papers or, go through the news on your phone, smartphone, or in the TV and stuff like this and complain. Use that to give birth to something new, because you have no other choice. Sitting there and complain about politicians and about judges and about policemen and about all kinds of people and do nothing about it yourself, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not really participating in the new birth of humanity. We are going right now through very, very intense days of judgments. So either these are, you look at it as contractions to give birth to a better new society towards the Messianic era with really more freedom, with more awareness, with more responsibility, with more positivity, with more creativity, with more innovation, or you're going to be crushed by the pain till you say, okay, I do, I can't stand it anymore. So usually people can't stand it anymore. Either they allow it to kill them, because despair leads to aging, and aging is a death sentence. Okay? Aging has nothing to do with your calendar age. It's all about your attitude. Are you really there to transform the judgments into positivity? Now, what are the tools? What are the tools that we're supposed to use, or that the Torah is giving us? Because as we said last week, there's a saying that every time there is a plague, pain, disease, anything of mishap, God always gives the remedy before the problem happens. So what is the remedy? So after we understand that we have the power to hold the staff, first of all, you need to have that sense and that idea that if you're facing any kind of difficulties, you're not facing it because somebody up in heaven doesn't like you. Somebody said to me, it's like God hates me because, when was it? Oh, it was on my way to the Western Wall. Somebody was sitting on the floor. He said, God hates me. I said, the God that hates you is an idol. You're not really praying to the real true God. The true God loves you dearly, but you have to do your job in order to connect to him. He was in shock, but that's really what the story is about. The story is not, if you think that there's a God that hates you, can't wait to get even with you, so you are really believing in an imagination, in an idol that you invented. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Moses, the God of Mount Sinai, is the endless light that is never changing, that is flowing unconditionally to every creature that he created. However, in our world, we have what? The opportunity to earn that enlightenment. How? Transforming, as the Zohar says, darkness into light and bitterness into sweet. That's the ticket, the only ticket. So life could go through a lot of trials and tribulations till you realize that there's the only way to be successful in life is to embrace the difficulties, the pain, the misery. Stop blaming, stop being a victim, and I know it's very hard, taking full responsibility for what you feel, because that is what you have to turn into a staff, the power to rule and to divert and direct your destiny into the best that is awaiting you, which is basically your inheritance that God gave you. You just simply did not realize yet that that is what awaiting you. So that will lead us into Parashat Mas'ei. And what is Parashat Mas'ei about? This is the book of Numbers, chapter 33, verse 1. These are the journeys of the children of Israel that left the land of Egypt through with their armies, with Moses and Aaron, Biyad Moshe v'Aaron. ויכתוב משה את מוצאיהם למעשיהם, and Moses wrote those journeys. So, על פי Adonai, by God. So why is it important for us 33 centuries later to know the journeys they made? Most of those places, we have no idea where are they on the globe. So why do we have to write it down? Why do we have to read it every year again and again? And the answer is very simple. When we are talking about the journeys, and this story of the 42 journeys completes the main body of the Torah to show us what is the Torah about. Every human being is in a journey. Every day we wake up to another chapter of that journey. What is the journey? The journey is not going and visiting places and things to do. The journey is the journey of turning ourselves from those people run away from the snake to those people holding the staff. The journey is transforming the bitterness, the negativity, the darkness, the victimhood, all of those terrible states of mind that are naturally ours. We are born with it. We all have that. That's okay. That's okay. Why is it okay? Because just look at it. Every diamond, when they find the diamonds in the quarries, they don't look like diamonds. When they find gold and silver, they don't look like precious metals. They have to go through refinement. Okay, the same thing is with our soul. We are coming with a lot of rough edges, with klipot, which means shells, negativities, all of those snake stuff. And our job is to transform all that dirt, all that judgment, all that negativity, all what we think is the bad stuff in us, and transform it into a good stuff. And you know what happens? When you transform that victimhood, that trauma, that pain, that misery, that blame, anger, when you transform them, you realize how precious that level you arrive to is for you. And you look backwards and you say, I would never give that up. Which means if I was not that miserable, I would never experience that journey of transforming the despair, the pain, the darkness, the hate, the loss, the uncertainty into something so great. So greatness is achieving something against all odds. If everything is nice and comfortable and easy, you cannot achieve any greatness. Great people never have it easy. You can never have like any real meaningful achievement without obstacles. That is called a journey. The journey is the journey that we have every day, the journey to face the troubles, the tribulations, to face those, what the Torah is calling nisayon, wrongly translated into a test. No, God is not testing us. Why? Because he knows we are going to excel in that. Not now, yet later. Not today, tomorrow, not tomorrow, next week, next month. Sometimes we are all going to reach greatness. Every human soul. Nobody's going to be left behind. This is the basic idea of monotheism. If you read Samuel 2, 14, it says, nobody will be cast away forever. Ki lo yidach mimeno nidach. You know, political religions are trying to instill fear and to rule by fear by saying, if you're not listening to me, you will rot in hell forever. This is a lie. Because when you really connect to true monotheism, if God is endless and almighty, he would not create billions of souls that only very few of them will make it. And Judaism is saying, if basically God makes billions of souls and only very few of them are going to make it, that's his problem. God forbid, he has no problem. From his point of view, we already made it. We already made it. Why? He's above time. We're just in the midst of it. We don't see the end, happy ending, and there's always a happy ending. We don't see the happy ending. Why? Because otherwise there's no pressure, there's no snake to transform. It's not a real game. So the word test, nisayon, is not to test. In Hebrew, nisayon comes from the word nes, miracle. Lanus velitnoses. That's from Psalms. To flee up and above the box, above the fear, above the pain. Transform it, control it, turn it into a staff. Turn the weakness into a power. Turn the negativity into positivity. This is the journey. So why is it that we feel stuck sometimes? At work, relationship, it means that we are not really taking responsibility for our duties, which are to transform the negative into positive, which means we're not really taking responsibility. So instead of staying victims, And every time we blame means that I will stay a victim. Why? Because it doesn't depend on me. It's their fault. No, it's always on us. They can stay in a terrible place. Sooner or later, they'll have to change. But meanwhile, don't wait for them. Because your job is to take responsibility for your own judgments, for your own delay, for own being stuck. This is your responsibility, not theirs. Oh, but everybody says they're wrong. Yeah, it's not yours. What is yours is your reaction to them. This is yours. That's your responsibility. And you know what? When you change, when you take responsibility, you will realize that you react from that moment on so much differently to their nonsense. So it's never about them. It's always about us. So, what do we learn from these journeys? There were 42 journeys. And that brings us to the magical number 42. The most important number may be one of the most important numbers in the Torah. There's so many things of the number 42, but let's read what the Opt Rebbe, the Rabbi of Opt, great Hasidic leader and a Kabbalist, 19th century in Eastern Europe, and he's bringing some ideas about that, and he's saying, והנה ידוע כי יש ג' בחינות הנקראות ידיים. That's about Parashat Mas'ei. There are three aspects that are called hands. During the Exodus, to overcome the slavery of Egypt, there are three hands being spoken about. And you mentioned them in the Passover Haggadah too. And it says about Yad HaGdolah, the great hand, Yad HaChazaka, the strong hand, Yad HaRama, the upper hand. Okay? So why three hands? Okay, whoever knows a little bit Kabbalah, we know that the right Yad Yamin, Yad HaGdolah, the big hand, the great hand, is the right hand, which is chesed, loving kindness, which means without holding on to loving kindness as a principle, as a force to correct negativity and judgment, you're nowhere. So first of all, it's starting with the right hand, which is chesed, loving kindness. And you will find it in the 14 letters in the Shema Yisrael. When you say Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, God, the Lord is God, our Lord is Hashem. Okay, these three words, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, God is our Lord, God. Okay, you have in Hebrew, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, you have 14 letters. That is the right hand. That is the right hand. Now, you have the strong hand. The strong hand, Yad HaChazaka, is 14 letters, also of the left, which is judgment. You need also judgment. I spoke about it last week, that you always need both of them. You always need, on one hand, to be loving unconditionally. On the other hand, you need to know to put the limitations, the limits. And that's a strong hand, the judgment. Judgment is not bad. It always have to be under the control of the loving kindness, but putting limitation, putting boundaries, we can't without it. You cannot just give without taking. You cannot just take without giving. You have to balance it. Okay? These 14 letters are in the, it's another sequence. You see it in many times on the mezuzah. If you open the parchment of the mezuzah, in most mezuzot, where it says Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, on the other side, there are written three words, which is the same three words, but one letter up instead of Yud, Kaf, in the sequence of the Hebrew alphabet. I won't go into it. It's not crucial for understanding that. There are also 14 letters. And Yad HaRama, the upper hand, is central column, mercy, That's the 14 letters of when you write the name of God, Youdkevitch, and you write it b'milui alfin, you get also 14 letters. I won't go into it. It's not important right now because we'll get to what does it mean. There are certain mathematical forces that if you see right now, Yad is 14, 3 times Yad, hand, is 42. So basically, we are talking here about when I'm stuck deep in judgments and I need to get out of it. I need to transform it. I need to rise above it. I need to turn it around. I must get help from above. The number 42 is crucial over here. And how does it work? So the name, it's called the name of 42 letters that have so few different versions. But the number 42 is like if you think about 3 times Yad. It's you're stuck, you're drowning in the judgments, in your own self-pity, hatred, envy, whatever, all kinds of negative. You are basically under the snake and you want to get out. So you start to scream, Father in heaven, help me. Get me out. So God can help you, pick you up with 3 hands. Yad Hagdola, Yad HaChazaka, Yad HaRama. What are these 3 hands? So this is the number 42. Where do you find it? So the most simple is what is called the prayer of the Anna BeKo'ah. You find it in the beginning of the morning prayer, Shacharit. You find it in most prayer books before Lecha Dodi, when Shabbat is entering. You can find it in the bedtime Shema, and you can find it on the way to the grave when the body is being carried to the grave. What's in common with all of these occasions that we use that prayer of the Anna BeKo'ah? It's a lift. We need a lift off. We say, Father in heaven, I need your hands. I need a lift off. Pick me up. In the morning, we just got up and we're starting the journey of the day. It's still heavy. It's still the beginning. All the negativities of that day that we have to transform and turn the judgment into a staff. It's still heavy in the morning. So you say the prayer of the Anna BeKo'ah in the morning in one consciousness, which is the most important. Father in heaven, pick me up, please. And if it doesn't help and you're stuck and you feel stuck in the middle of the day, there is no problem to repeat the Anna BeKo'ah prayer again and again and again till you feel liftoff, till you really mean that. Before the Lecha Dodi prayer, this is the beginning of Shabbat, you need a liftoff to get out from the weekdays, from the dirt, from the mess, from the chaos, from the rushing between good and evil and so on of the 6 days. You say, Father in heaven, please pick me up so I can finally rest on Shabbat. Rest from negativity, rest from slavery, rest from pain and misery. I need a liftoff. When you go to sleep, you say the Anna BeKo'ah again, because it's time for the soul to take off and finally rest from the fight with the body all the time. So you say again the Anna BeKo'ah, Father in heaven, I need a liftoff. I need to go high and above. My soul needs a real strong missile to take me, a rocket, to take me outside where there's no friction, so I can really regain power, so and energy and whatever, and come back in the morning rejuvenated. So you say the Anna BeKo'ah before you sleep. Okay? And if you can't fall asleep, you repeat it in your mind again and again and again till you fall asleep, says Rabbi Zakloria. Okay, and on the way to the grave in the funeral. Why? Here's somebody, he died. His soul is stuck in the body, by the body. And that's why everybody has to say the Ana BeKo'ah to unstuck that person that is dead so he can take off, let go, release from the body, and go up to his own place, up in heavens. There's another thing we say on the grave, the Kaddish. And the Kaddish, the main body of the Kaddish, you just guess how many words? 42. You have Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Mirabah, these are 4 words. And then you have and then it's 10 words. And then Yesh Merabah Mevarach La'alam Lalmei Almaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpartil Be'alma for 28 words. 4 plus 10 plus 28. What do you have? 42 again. So the Kaddish is when we give a lift-off to somebody who passed away, or many times we say the Kaddish in the prayer, nothing for somebody who passed away, just for us, so we can have a lift-off and rise. The number 42 expresses itself in many places. In the Shema Yisrael, the first paragraph, Ve'ahavta tilu v'sharecha, 42 words. The first blessing in the silent prayer, Baruch atah Hashem til magen Avraham, Elokeinu ve'elokei avotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak ve'elokei Yaakov, til Baruch atah Hashem magen Avraham, supposed to have 42 words also. Wherever you look, you'll find that. There are many other places where we're not going that deep, but the journeys that we take daily, the journeys that we take weekly, yearly, it's all revolving that 42, the name of 42 that is hidden. The Ana BeKo'ah name of 42 is hidden inside the first 42 letters of the Genesis, chapter 1. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, and so on. Over here, first 42 letters, that's where this is encoded. So, with this knowledge, we just have to remember, when we feel stuck, when we feel upset, when we feel judgments, when we feel hatred around us and within us, and any kind of negative emotion, it's not a curse, it's a blessing. It's an opportunity to transform the negativity into positivity so we can feel we really took the staff and made a difference. We really took part in Tikkun Olam by correcting that part of humanity's judgments and negativity that we are supposed to correct. I'm not supposed to correct somebody else's, I cannot. Everyone has to correct only what belongs to him. You can inspire others, you can help others, you can teach others, you cannot correct for them. This is very important. Why? Because you're nobody's slaves. You're not a slave to anyone. You're not a slave to anyone's mistakes. And if you think so, you're in a bad place. You should get out of it. How do you get out of it? Pray. Pray to God. Father in heaven, pick me up. And if you don't feel it's happening, use the Ana BeKo'ah prayer. Say it as many times as you want till you feel that you're really being experiencing a liftoff. So this is an amazing time, these 3 weeks. A lot of judgments, it's not hard to see. And the only way to really see what's going on is to turn inside and transform first our own judgments. When we clear those judgments, we'll be able to see better what's going around and where we're heading to. But we're heading into a great place. Thank you so much and good luck to everyone.